My name is Kulegani Magubane. I'm a staff writer at Business Day, speaking to Editor-in-Chief of Business Day, Peter Bruce. Why do you think Dr. Iqbal's survey is taking you on?
Well, I've absolutely no idea, really. I mean, we've asked questions of his acquisition, which obviously struck a chord with him. He is angry, clearly. But I don't think those things matter really much. I'm not bothered by the names he calls us. Sticks and stones can break your bones and all of that. Yeah, we must have struck a chord, and clearly the thing to do now is to insist, as he goes ahead with this purchase of a really seriously big part of our South African life, the independent group, is to make sure that it's transparently funded. We're not really concerned about who's in his consortium. He'll name all sorts of people, no doubt, and that's fine, but where the money comes from it can be important. All we're saying is, we hope that that there's maximum transparency. We want the independent group to grow and prosper, and under its new ownership. If Iqbal's survey can make that happen, it'd be absolutely wonderful. We want print to continue, and the country would be poorer without the independent group. So the nonsense about us not wanting to be in competition with them is just silly. It's not serious.
Dr. Survey spoke extensively about Pearson's role in terms of appointing of staff in editorial and managerial positions at Business Day. What are your thoughts on this?
I can't remember what he said exactly, but he kept on calling it colonial. The fact is that it's decolonizing. It's selling its stake in Avusa, not buying a stake in Avusa. I'm simply not sure what it was that he meant. As part of the selling, because it wasn't, it was approached by the South Africans to sell. It asked that it protect the editorial independence of the titles, and I was partly instrumental in creating a device which would do that, where Pearson could nominate members to a board committee, who would approve or disapprove of the appointment or the firing of an editor. Those people would be South Africans, however. It wouldn't be foreigners jetting in from England to tell anybody who they could appoint as editor. The nominees are Michael Spicer and Wendy Lahabi.
In less than a year, Times Media Group has said goodbye to permanent employee of Mzima Lunga, Pearl Sebulawa, and Mondli Makanya. Does this give any merit to Survey's allegations that we are anti-transformation?
I wasn't privy to what happened between Mzima Lunga and the board, and I simply don't know what triggered his separation from the company. I don't know. I was desperately sorry to lose Pearl Sebulawa, who's been here, as you know, a long time. But I don't think that it's symptomatic of anything, of any trend here. There are 3 or 4 people who've gone, they're high profile. There are many white people who've left the company as well. Nobody says, there's a sort of run on whites at Times Media. You can package anything to look like whatever you want it to look like, I guess. He's trying to do as much damage as he can. He's obviously trying to deflect attention away from the central issue, which is who is going to fund his acquisition of independent newspapers.
Is there any merit to fears that independent newspapers, through this deal, will become a battlefield for factions within the ruling party?
Well, I hope not, because journalists deserve better than that, and there's some fantastic journalists in the independent group. If you're an influence peddler and you buy a newspaper group, that you would try to use that group to peddle more influence. My hope is that wouldn't happen, and that it would be treated as a serious investment in a serious industry that's in a lot of trouble.
Survey talked up Business Reports as a formidable rival to Business Day in terms of market share and editorial quality. What does this mean for Business Day, given the many changes that are happening within the newsroom at the moment?
I don't think it means anything, really. Business Report is not a major rival. Business Report is not even a supplement in independent. It's a run of print now. It's no longer big enough to stand alone as a separate supplement. It certainly isn't big enough to stand alone as a newspaper for sale. So I don't know what he's talking about. Neither does he, I suspect.
Independent newspaper staff will be looking to hold a 10% stake in the group to ensure editorial independence. Do you think that this is a useful instrument?
I don't know how that works, though, Kulakani. He's going to give them shares in order to establish editorial independence?
Yes.
You'd need to give them 51% then, not 10%. No. I don't think the two are related. I mean, you would give staff shares in order to incentivize them. There would be other ways that you would need to, other things that you would need to do to ensure that they were editorially independent. And I'm sure there are lots of devices that he'll come up with. I'm a former editor of Business Report. And in my time, it was a separate section in the paper. I don't think it would ever stand alone as a for sale newspaper. I mean, one could try and tease him into doing something silly, but I don't think even he would do something that rash. No, it needs proper investment. It cannot possibly compete as a newspaper which is sometimes 3 or 4 pages long. It's been run down by its current owners. And I hope Iqbal's survey turns it around and saves it and makes something of it.